Ep.2, kind of to recap everything that we're going to go through today. Today's really going to walk through kind of the prototype we have for the syllabus for the 7-day boot camp. So we'll get stuck into that. Then I think before we get stuck into that, we'll probably just quickly go through who the boot camp is for. So from not only like a functional standpoint, but from a business perspective, just how we're basically just trying to attract more people like us.
Yeah.
And then what we think people are going to get out of it from a learning standpoint, what's involved in running it. So we'll obviously talk about, the involvement of Jake, and maybe we'll run over pricing. I think maybe pricing and economics is probably we're going to be mentioning quite a bit. And that'll probably cap us out. So
sounds great.
What do you think in regards to like the problem that we want to solve for golfers? Like how we've had conversations about this. You've been the one that's kind of been managing the syllabus. Like, what do you see the 7-day boot camp as a tool to? What problem is it fixing?
I think we know this fairly well because we are our own customer, which we mentioned last week, and I think it's really for golfers who have already put a lot of work into the game, but are time poor and don't necessarily have the ability to invest a lot of time into their game. And what does that mean? Well, that means training, going to see a golf pro for lessons, playing multiple times a week. But this is a preconception about what it takes to get to scratch as well, right? That we're kind of trying to disprove, because we're saying we can run this program for you and not increase the amount of time that you need to invest into training necessarily. We have a few, little hooks that we'll talk about around all of that stuff. But in terms of the outcome, I think you just have to look at us as individuals. We love golf. Like, we love playing golf. We call our Thursday golf session Christmas Thursday because the night before, everybody's getting their gear together and they want to go and play. And like, it's the best day of our week, right? Because we love it so much. And I think when I first started talking about this in real terms, I felt like I'd already tried a lot of different things to get better at golf with the time that I had, and I wasn't getting there. So I started to inquire about what else could there be and how else could we, structure something for us initially, but actually as a product offering. And I think there'll be a lot of other people out there with that same challenge. So the outcome for them would really be, how do we make them better golfers? And how do we give them a clear pathway to get to scratch? And that hasn't existed for me either. I think that's quite one of the core pillars for me. It's like, well, what's the roadmap? What's the process that I need to follow?
Yeah.
And trying to figure that out on your own, I've tried for a couple of years.
With
YouTube and I guess forums and whatever online resources you have, and trying to figure that out, what that looks like. It felt impossible, and it didn't feel like it existed yet either. So I think if they had a clear pathway, which is, I feel, is one of the strong pillars of the program itself, that had milestones and goals and performance tracking that showed them where they were on the journey and where they were going to and how they were going to get there, and we're giving them all the things to get there as well. I think that has a lot of value in itself.
Yeah, got it. So yeah, it seems it's probably important to emphasize that we probably would do this just to do it because we love golf, but we're not doing that. We really do see a market opportunity here where we think that maybe the rest of the world has got more interactive. The feedback loops for a lot of products have dramatically improved. The evolution of like technology and software happens really quickly, but then you look at golf and the model is the same as it was back in 1940 in regards to the exchange of meaningful information and IP.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to add there, thanks mate, is this idea that we're both like entrepreneurs and time is a massive constraint of ours.
Yeah.
And we don't believe the existing model works in that it feels like a big commitment to not only play, but then to practice and then to go get lessons, not actually feeling like you're getting any closer to acquiring the whole operating system that's going to allow you to shoot the lights out.
Absolutely, yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's becoming more clear, right? Because it's not just fundamentals and fixing your swing. Golf is a whole world in itself that encapsulates everything from strategy, risk management, course management, mind game. You know, the list kind of goes on. And I think that's what we're trying to do here is provide a holistic approach to getting better at golf on your way to the end goal, which is getting to scratch, which is what we want for ourselves as well.
What might be good is for you to go through the syllabus, because I've kept myself out of looking at it because I'd rather hear you pitch it now.
Yeah, sure.
Whilst we're in it. But the thing that maybe I just want to quickly emphasize is we really do believe the only way that this will work is if we build a syllabus that we eat our own dog food on.
Yeah.
And it, at least in the space of 12 months, we can knock like 3 or 4 shots off.
I think
so
5.
Yeah. So if we don't get to 3, if we don't get to 3 a year from our first prototype run in 4 weeks, we should just give the whole thing up. Nearly. To a degree. So...
Well, what's interesting about that is anecdotally, you can get 5 shots off your game just learning good course management.
Yeah.
You know, right? And you remember Steve, who we played with last week, it was his last day with us. He's moving back to Australia. And he said to us right at the end, he saved it for us till the end. He said, I think you guys are all better players than me, but I'm better at course management. And then he said, the guys that I play with back in Australia are all older than me, and I lose to them. And I think I'm a better player, but they're better at course management. And I thought about it for a second, and I said, well, we're not the better players then. You are. Because it's only about the score.
Yeah, it's about low scores.
And it doesn't matter how you get there. You could have the best swing in the world. Maybe we have, relatively decent swings, but we're taking driver in opportunity in situations where there's too much risk and we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because I was like, well, actually, it's not true that we're the better players because you're scoring better than us, however you do it.
Yeah.
And it encapsulates, all of it to deliver the results.
And maybe this is the perfect intro for you to kind of describe this at a level so that people can get an understanding for what our prototype looks like. But swing mechanics is just one part of it. Putting is just one part of it. Mindset, course management. We're really trying to basically, the best way to think about it is steal the intellectual property from professional golfers into a palatable format that can be digested in 7 days.
Yeah.
And then
that pretty sums it up.
Yeah.
And digested for players of our standard, right? Because if you look at Jake, he's been playing for 13 years. So he was 9 years old. The detail he's gone into on the golf game, he's at that mastery level. He's done more than his 10,000 hours. And he needs to be able to make that digestible to us as well, right? Because if we went into his level, we would just be like overwhelmed. I've seen some of the stuff that he does.
I can imagine.
And that he's worked on for himself, right? For his game. It's incredible.
What's crazy is like I can't even look at somebody's swing and diagnose what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like there's a completely different world there, right?
I know little bits, but yeah, so we need to be able to also make that information. And I think this is one of the bigger challenges in the time period that we have in the boot camp, but there's going to be, post boot camp personal development plans as well to continue that training. But it's it's a huge amount of information, and how do we simplify that and break it down so that it's digestible and absorbable for the players coming in, and that they get to practice it and ingrain it in their body as well, because there's mind stuff, there's learning, then there's actually getting it into your body through the experience of chipping or putting or whatever it is, and that takes practice. So that's going to be an interesting challenge.
Yeah. Well, far away, mate. Let's
So the way I'm looking at it, the 3 pillars of the program for me, the first pillar is this clear pathway that I talked about earlier, and it's just understanding where you are and where you're trying to get to in terms of milestones and performance tracking, and, you know, providing that structure. If you just gave that to me right now and you're like, well, you're about here, and these are the things that you need to do to get to here, let's say 5 shots, drop 5 shots, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, brilliant. Well, now I know, because I haven't been able to figure that out for myself. So I think that's quite an important part of it. The second pillar is the syllabus itself, which is teaching all of the core fundamentals of the game, swing technique, course management, all the things that we've mentioned. And we want it to be science and data backed. So we want to be able to, you know, explain to the players coming in why we're doing this, and then show them how to do it, not just do this. And, you know, we need to also build that trust with them in everything that we're teaching them.
Yeah.
And then the third pillar is the personalized development plan. So when they come and work with us in the 7-day program, and before that, because there is a pre-piece to this program as well, gathering data from all of the players. But when they come and work with us in the program, we want to be building this player profile, basically, and have all their information available to us, and then start to, you know, track their progress through the program itself, and then post-program as well. We want to keep that relationship going and keep them on track with their, you know, with the milestones that we've defined for them. So they're the kind of the 3 things: is the pathway, understanding the pathway, the syllabus itself, and then developing this personalized development plan with them. We'll have the baseline for the syllabus, but obviously each person coming in is individual, and we need to be able to adjust it to them and where they're at, and make tweaks. And all that information will go into their personalized development plan, which they'll then take away post the event, and then hopefully we'll continue to have a relationship with them and keep up to date with them. So they're the 3 pillars. And then in terms of the schedule itself, well, it's a full 7-day program, so it's going to be intensive. We're heading out in November, about 5 weeks' time, to test this ourselves and see how it plays out. Test the first version of the syllabus, and just see how that endurance piece operates as well, because it's working out about 10-hour days. So early starts. We're going to do training in the morning, and then playing in the afternoon. So whatever we can, you know, whatever we're learning in the morning, we take out onto the course and then try.
So
it's terrible, doesn't it? And then, you know, use our new skills in a real situation to try and be able to see those advancements, I guess, as we're learning and developing new skills. And there's lots of different ideas around, you know, the training sessions and making them competitive and having little competitions at the end. But essentially we want the players to be learning and then heading out onto the course and operating under real world circumstances, which is like, okay, you're heading out, you know, it's mini competition, and let's see how you're improving on each area that we're training you and teaching you.
I would guess and say, like, if we had to split our roles up ever so slightly, I would say you're more the product guy and I'm kind of like more marketing, sales.
Yeah.
I think we'll end up using verbatim, train in the morning, apply what you've learned in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Like, I think that's, that to me is really powerful. Do you want to just roll through the whole week so that people can get like a 10,000 foot view picture of it, and then we can kind of come back and pull apart all of the aspects to it, I suppose. So yeah, I reckon let's just go through like a 10,000 foot view of the 7-day structure so far for prototype 1, and where it makes sense, we can just dig down into more detail.
Yeah. So day 1, we're obviously going to welcome all the players in, talk to them about the program, explain to them what we're going to be doing throughout the week. And then we're going to head straight into a classroom or conference room session on course management and really get into detail on course management with them. Try to understand what their level of knowledge is around course management, so we know where to personalize the teaching and the training for them, but give them the core principles of risk management and strategy. And I think we'll probably do that through at least image or video, actually going through assessing a course and specific holes.
That'd be really
taking
cool.
them through that whole process. And and then just trying to understand where they're at and where the gaps are. And then we have after that, we'll head to the training facility, and Jake's developed this swing training mat, which is a pretty incredible piece of technology if it's used in the right way. It's something that I haven't seen that exists out there. He's developed it himself, and he's worked on it and evolved it over the past 3 years. And it basically gives you every single setup for every shot, from irons to all the way to driver for putter. And it has checkpoints on it that's personalized to you for your specific swing.
I look forward to seeing that.
We're customizing it to the individual.
So everyone walks away with that after
Everyone will have a version of that. And then it comes with a weighted club as well. So that's a 7-iron that's about 1.3 kilograms. And Jake's explained that using this setup, he doesn't even go to the range. Like he practices this at home with the mat and with the club. And he said it's more effective than heading to a range and hitting 100 balls. Having 20, 30 swings with this thing and making sure that you're hitting the right checkpoints and you're in the right position and the right setup. And obviously we're going to teach them how to use it as well, so that they're using it most effectively. But he believes it's more effective. And this is part of our commitment to not increasing the amount of time that players need to go and train. I think this is going to be a key product for us. So we'll do the mat assessments for every player. And at the same time, we'll start one of the modules on putting and chipping. And then in the afternoon, we're going to head out on the course basically and do 9 holes. And that 9 holes will be in a assessment round where the coach is with the players, assessing them on the course. I guess in that case,
I'm already
seeing if
excited.
they're using some of the...
It could just be Monday, dude.
Some of the stuff, exactly.
Oh my God.
See if they're actually using some of the stuff they've learned from course management. But as we know, excuse me, performing on the range is a very different thing to performing out on the course, right? So we're going to do that to try and understand the players in more detail and what their challenges are, so that we can then personalize the program more specifically to them. And then the week continues in a similar structure. We're going to be training in the morning. So day 2, we're going to be covering short game, wedge play, and short irons. And then in the afternoon, we'll be heading out again for 9 holes. After the 9 holes on day 2, we want to run a correction clinic. So what was your intention when you went out there, and what differed from your intention? Where did the problems come in? Did you start losing your swing? Did you come back to the baseline that we set you on using your swing mat? But to be able to give them that retrospective once they've been out on the course and all of the pressures come in and all the things that you're having to deal with out there, be able to take them through a correction clinic, essentially, is the best term we've got for it at the moment, and just help them, support them to understand what happened, and when it happens next time, how to correct it. So that's quite an interesting one that I like the idea of. And then high level again, next morning, more training. We're going to do mid and long irons.
This Wednesday, is it?
This is Wednesday. Mid and long irons. We're heading out in the morning that day for 9 holes. And then in the afternoon, we're going to introduce the players to their personalized plan, their personalized development plan. We should have enough information and data on them at that point that we're going to be plugging into the system. We can present it to them, show them how it works, and then start to continually update that and add additional data and information as they're playing the rounds throughout the week. And then in the afternoon, after that, we're going to do fairway woods, driver, fitness and recovery. Jake's huge on this. He's like, really, you need to be stretching. Like it limits your swing so much. And how many players do we know that turn up and stretch for even 10 minutes before a round versus just stepping on the range and hitting balls?
Yep.
Guilty. We all are. But it limits your range of movement so much. And I think our players will feel that more when they have the mat and the weighted club. And actually, trying to move that thing is heavy. It's heavy. It's a lot of weight, right? 1.3 kgs is quite a lot for a club that you're swinging around your body.
Up in a hex.
So you need to. It's obviously going to build strength as well, but you need to be flexible. And he's very big on this. So covering all of the areas of fitness and recovery. We'll go into that in detail with the players. And then on day 4, we're going to revisit putting and short game, wedge play. We're basically going to revisit all of the disciplines that we've been through already, and similar to the correction clinic, start addressing issues, or for the advanced players, start giving them more, more training, more development in new areas. For instance, if everybody by that point, has their stock chip, well, there's 6 more different chips that we can start to teach them: high, low, lob, and then all the bunker shots as well. So it's really going to depend on the player how far we take them through those stages for each category, really. And that will be the session where we get to go into that, and all of that again is going to get added to their development plan. And then in the afternoon, we haven't really talked about the courses, but day 1, 2, and 3, we're most likely going to be based at Hoi An Shores, which is number 12 in Asia on the top 100 golf lists. There's like 5,000 golf courses in Asia.
I didn't even know that.
Number 12, it's incredible.
Oh my God.
Amazing training facilities, incredible course. I think it's the best fairways and greens I've ever played on.
Really?
Just stunning. It's right on the coast. It's built into the sand dunes out there. And that's going to be our home course. So on day 2, we'll play 18 holes there in the afternoon. And the coach, again, will be out with the players, assessing, watching, gathering information and data and helping. And then beyond that, the other courses that we're going to play, the next one is on day 4, which is Barnard Hills, which is up in the mountain. I think that's number 29 on the Asia list. So Vietnam just has these incredible courses, and that's part of our offering, right? Because players are going to come and they want to play. Yeah, they want to train and they want to get better. And
in a holiday environment.
Skills.
And it's a completely different type of golf course to what most people are going to be used to.
Yeah, exactly. They're all very different, actually.
Yeah.
Which plays well to the offering. Hoi An Shores is a links course right on the coast. Barnard is a hilly course up in the mountains, tough, long. And then the other 2 courses we're going to play I think we're going to play the Norman course, actually. There's also another links course, but it has more trees and feels a bit more parklandy, which is a beautiful course. That's number 33 on the list. And then on the final day, we're going to run a competition. So we'll probably do training in the morning and then the competition in the afternoon.
So what day is this for now?
That's on day 7. So
yep.
Day 7, we'll run the competition. I'm just kind of fast forwarding because we're going to take all these skills that we're learning through the week and then put them into a competitive environment and a competitive real world circumstance where they're under pressure and they're going to have to perform. Not have to, but they want to perform. These guys are going to be competitive guys, right?
You've your first chance to use the whole toolkit.
Exactly. Yeah. So we skipped ahead slightly, kind of just to talk about the end goal, and that's what we're leading up to. But again, that's kind of what I'd want to do, right? Like I'd want to go out and compete and, try and use all my new skills to put in a good score and a good performance with the community that I built throughout the week, of all these guys trying to get to the same goal, trying to make the same progress, right? Day 5, we're going to cover psychology and mental game. So we're going to go deep into that. Then we'll do 9 holes at Hoi An again. And that's after the review of all the fundamental disciplines that we've covered, right? And then we're also going to have player one-to-one time with the coach. So obviously we'll have to rotate, but everybody will get one-to-one time with Jake in this case, and get to work on whatever area of their game that they want to spend that time working on. Yeah, we haven't figured out the schedule yet, how much time they get, but we're hoping at least 1 to 2 hours of just one-to-one time working on whatever they want to work on.
Awesome.
And that will all feed into their personal development plan as well, right? Because Jake's going to be working with them closely, understanding their ticks, everything else, and that will all be fed into their plan and their player profile and their development plan. And then the rest of the guys, while we're doing that, will just be continuing to practice whichever discipline they want to continue working on, and we'll likely have support coaches for that, helping them and guiding them and giving them advice and assessment. And then day 6, we're going to play the Norman course in the morning, and then we're going to work on the personal plan in the afternoon plus practice with the guys. So understanding what areas they feel they need more help with, and giving them the information, resources to continue to develop in those areas, because that's what's going to be handed to them at the end of the program. Like, this is what we've seen, this is what we've taught you, this is what we think you need to continue to work on, and this is where you are on the roadmap. Keep working on those things, and then hopefully we'll continue to work with you as well, to keep your development going post the event. And I very much see it like, I think, golf does take time to ingrain these things. It takes time to ingrain the information. It takes time to embody it. And, I like to think that players would be coming back. We don't know the schedule, how often we're going to run this yet, but at least every quarter, maybe monthly. But, if they attended the program, went away and worked on their development plan for 3 months, 6 months, and then decided they wanted to come back for a top up, well, we're going to have the next level or next stage for them as well, right? It's like, okay, you learn the stock shots in all of these situations. Now come back in, and we're going to teach you shaping shots in irons. We're going to teach you all of the variations on chipping. We're going to teach you, the extended syllabus, because it really does depend on where they're at.
Yeah. And that's the point. Like, is people will only come back if they see the value in it and they're benefiting, and then they're completely happy to then invest in the boot camp again to potentially get the advanced skill set, because they've absolutely nailed the fundamentals and got themselves to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
And now are looking for the next layer.
And we all know it gets harder, right? The further down you get, it gets more intricate. It probably gets harder. So I think they're likely gonna come for those top ups, hopefully, if we're delivering. And within the program, we'll have level 1, level 2, level 3 players potentially, all working on stuff in an environment, in a community, all pushing towards the same goal. And the dream outcome for all of this is that they go home and they start beating their friends, and they start winning the competitions in the local club or the comps, and all of their mates are looking at them going, how have you done this in such a short period of time? Because the preconception is any progress in golf takes such a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're trying to challenge here, right?
Yeah.
It's like, can we deliver that, and can we fulfill on that? And that's product market fit for us.
Yeah.
Because they go home and people are, what happened? Like, you've just knocked 5 shots off your game in 6 months or 12 months or whatever. Then, that's going to be product market fit, because people will want to know.
And the other thing about this, I think, the reason why I think we think boot camps is the modality is because the way that people absorb information is through direct experience.
Yeah.
And like, I was thinking, like, 10-hour days, we might find that that's too much, or maybe it's okay. I think it might be. I think they'd be exhausted.
Gym, right? Like,
yeah.
I know it's coming, and I'm like, well, I better shape up.
Yeah. Like, when you immerse yourself in something, like we've both done, like masterminds and in multi-day events, you're just so immersed in it that the absorption of the ideas, like, gets you to the bone. And I think a lot of what could improve out of the traditional model of just going to a pro and getting a few lessons here and there is that the lessons don't seep into the skin for 2 reasons. First, there's just not enough exposure to them. So we've got a potentially a 7-day, 10 hours a day, 70-hour exposure to all of the intellectual property and the ideas.
Yeah.
Versus how many years of lessons would it take you to get to that same level with the traditional model? Like, I don't know anybody that's been to more than 70 hours of lessons other than
plus
a pro.
Taking you out on the course, plus teaching you course management. These are all separate things.
Yeah,
they're not teaching.
I think it's safe to say that 99.5% of people go their whole life not experiencing the breadth of what we can potentially build into 1 week program.
Yeah.
Just because everybody's biggest constraint is actually time.
Mm-hmm.
And by going boot camp, we blow through the biggest constraint getting in front of most people's way.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Yeah. And we set a baseline. We set a really solid baseline for them to build on top of. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of information, and we're also looking at ways and techniques to help them impart that information more effectively. One of the examples is proven in neuroscience recently that testing after acquiring information actually helps you to retain that information, not testing for performance, but testing for learning. So like you could test yourself, or when we've gone them through a 2 or 3 hour course management session, we give them tests at the end, so it helps them to retain the information. So we're looking at things like that as well, because it is a lot. And how do we give them the best chance of, in that case, and it's the same with a golf shot, right? It's a setup on a shot. You're in the sand, you should have your weight on your front leg, club open. Where's the bounce going to hit? How far back do I need to aim from the ball, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of detail there that you have to, learn and remember to give yourself the best opportunity to, make a successful action. So we're looking at ways to do that as well.
I'm just looking through a couple of notes here, and it doesn't even feel like there's a point talking about what's the difference and what sets us apart here. Like, think about how vastly different this is to a golf vacation. Mm-hmm. A golf vacation is pure enjoyment and no technical development at all.
Yeah.
And then lessons are purely technical development and no enjoyment.
Yeah.
So
that's true. Yeah,
I think that. Maybe that's maybe that's something that I'm sure will factor in. And the most exciting part about this is that we just don't know what we don't know. And man, I think we're going to have some really awesome insights to share once we get to the end of the week. But yeah, one of the big things is how much fatigue occurs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite an endurance. Yeah. I mean, we're labeling it as a luxury intensive golf training boot camp. The luxury part being nice accommodation, amazing courses, but it's intense. Like we're going to be running 10 hours a day. But I think everybody will come in with the attitude that they want to learn and they want to put that time in and they want to commit to it. We'll find out physically how it affects us in the dry run in 5 weeks. And that's a good first test. And then we're going to test the first version of the syllabus and see what needs to be tweaked and tuned and, iterated and evolved.
Yeah. Tony Robbins events can be 5-day events for 12 hours.
Emotional stuff too. So it's intense.
So I feel
physically and emotionally draining.
I feel like we should get through it. And that's the other thing is like, I think the more that we can separate ourselves from anything anybody could experience in the regular world, the more awesome it becomes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why the fitness side is so important. Fitness and recovery, right? We need to actually teach that just to get these guys through this, probably to get them through this program, right? I thought about bringing yoga teacher in for the morning or at the end of the day to let people decompress and be ready for the recovery, which is to go again the next day.
Yeah,
but we should be looking at that stuff. We shouldn't be. It's so stupid. The stigma around, you won't even see someone on the driving range before a round of golf stretching, barely. Because guys are like, oh, no, I don't, someone's watching or whatever it is that kind of makes us feel self-conscious about that. But it's ridiculous. We'd be like, you're going to run out on a basketball court and try and play basketball without warming up?
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that. And it's the same for golf. And then it's like, well, you want to shoot your best score today? Yeah, I'm going to shoot my best score today. Cool. Just go and hit driver on the range first then, yeah? And see how that works out for you. But it's so integral to and Jake's really hot on this. It's so integral to performance. When you're at his level of performance, and all the guys that he plays with in the Asia Tour, they have to do that. They've got to play over 4 days, so they don't get a choice. But if we want to play our best golf, we also, and I'm realizing this too, right? In this whole process, we also need to take care of the body in that way. because that's what it affects the swing in so many ways. If you're tight, that's the conclusion. Do you want to hit the best ball, the best swing? Yes. Well, then you need to stretch. It's just black and white. It's like you need to stretch so that your body can actually make that motion in the correct way to deliver the club properly.
I think the other thing that we should do before we get out there is we should get Bobby and the team to follow us around for 18 so that people can kind of see where we're at.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
And then what becomes a regular part of all of the content is hopefully us improving over time.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Otherwise, we're in a lot of trouble.
But I think I'm fairly confident about this. Like even just just having worked on this project and been learning more about all these areas, it's improved my golf game already.
Yeah,
like it's paying due care and attention that I wasn't. Or I thought I was before, but I just hadn't gone enough down that path to really understand what needed to be done. It's already improving my game.
Yeah,
just from
Imagine, I think if we start to do that, I think we'll realize that part of the business model will be the full-blown documentation of every move, including us playing. Because I think something that I would love to see is two people trying to push themselves on YouTube and watching their progression, playing with pros, developing a curriculum, learning off their own mistakes, training, and then seeing the improvement.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be really, really cool?
That would be amazing. And then sharing that with other people who get the same results, that would be incredible.
And there's a lot of good golfers on YouTube.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of eights approaching scratch.
Yeah.
Like it is its own genre. And it's probably way more relatable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because we're not like shooting the lights out.
Yeah.
We're handy, but we're not like ridiculous.
Yeah, we're not Grant Horvat. We're not hitting PGA standard drives down the fairway,
Yeah.
It's true. I think it would be a lot more relatable, yeah. I also think we should do, fly on the wall when we go in 5 weeks and just shoot content from that on our own and share that because people will want to see how that went.
Yeah, I'll bring all of the cameras and the mics for that, and then
we can just do that ourselves.
And then Bobby will come over for the actual D2, which we've already got customers for, which is super awesome. So I'm trying to think of what else we need to go through. I think just we're going to upload like 4 or 5 podcast episodes back to back, I think.
Yeah. Perfect.
And then so that way the YouTube channel has probably like 30 to 40 videos on it.
Yeah.
We've got 5 or 6 podcast episodes. And then the landing page will be up and running in the next couple of weeks.
Do you want to talk about the marketing and how we're approaching the marketing?
Yeah, I think, the number one marketing strategy here is literally just the documentation of this. Everybody that I've explained what the mission is like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And it's because it's so inherently selfish. Like don't you think it's like such a selfish marketing strategy?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's, I think what I think it's enough. I think half of the struggle with a really good product or service is to embed magic in it. And I feel like there's just an element of magic and kind of naivety in the way that we're going about this, multiplied with our problem-solving framework. I think it's a really nice mix of something quite marketable.
Yeah.
Especially the audaciousness to... And I think, what would be good for the next episode is to actually start going through the model, because we don't just think that this is a pocket change thing. And it seems like everything is determined by how well we improve.
Yeah.
That's the whole product, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. Well, at the beginning, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning.
And then from there, it's how well can we develop our players? Because if they are making that, crossing that chasm, as Pete Thiel likes to say, and they're getting towards that goal through the structure and the framework that we've put together. Well, that's an incredible result, an incredible achievement. And then it starts to become all about them. Like, these guys taking what we created and it's working, and that can go in lots of different directions. That gets quite exciting. If we're delivering, that kind of performance to players, there's lots of avenues that could go in. But mostly it challenges the status quo or the misconception that only pro players can get to scratch, and it's not true. And when we've looked at it from a market perspective, and what exists out there, and all the rest of it, it's not true.
Yeah.
And I think it is actually coming back to fundamentals and being able to. I think golf's just got, it has too many gimmicks, has too many products. Everyone's going for the quick fix, but actually what you need is a structure and a framework to get your fundamentals really good.
Yeah.
A baseline, have a good foundation to build on, have a roadmap or a pathway to get there, all those bits, those pillars that we talked about. And I think if you put all of that in place for most guys who are 15 and under and want to achieve that goal, they'll take it and run. I think they will, because we will.
Yeah.
Like, given that opportunity where suddenly what was muddy is suddenly becoming clearer. Like, this was always a goal for us separately and then together over the past 10 months. But neither of us knew how to get there. There was no clear, there was no clear path. There was no clear, well, where do I go to get to scratch? What do I do to get to scratch? What's the, all the bits that are going to make it up? And that's what we're trying to figure out, I think. And then if we can give that to other people, I think their enjoyment of golf will be a lot more as well.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm quite excited about.
And I think that the cool thing is that we build the syllabus, and the thing, especially from my design business and my coaching business, helping other designers, is based not on my qualifications, but it's just based on what I've personally done myself.
Yeah.
And the whole information product business of helping design business owners is, well, here's what's working for me. And I think if we can make the improvements, then we are our own credential.
Yeah.
And then all we have to do is go, well, online from a community standpoint, join our community where we share insights into what we're doing to approach scratch. And that'll be enough of a credibility. But then you stack on top of that case studies and testimonials from customers that go through this entire experience, and the way that like, I think this is exactly how you're thinking about the product as well. First and foremost is like, if we can't deliver the transformations, there is no business.
Yeah.
And if we can deliver the transformations, then the next thing is to make sure that the mechanisms are put in place to extract every freaking testimonial and case study we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And be very vocal with them. And if we do that, multiplied with a reasonable marketing strategy, that'll be enough, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, because I mean, how many people are actually aware of what we're doing versus how many people are already interested in coming to the one we're doing in February?
Yeah.
The conversion rate's insane.
There's not been one person that's like, that's a shit idea.
The only person I know,
like, what are you doing?
The only person I know that's not coming is my wife. She's the only one who's learned and is not keen on coming. So that's it.
And that's before you even tell people that, any of the business stuff, that we think there's an opportunity here, that, that there seems to be a gap here. Why aren't more people getting to scratch?
Yeah.
Why aren't more people just becoming better golfers?
The other thing that you said before was you didn't use the term flash in the pan, but quick fix. Mm-hmm. So the issue with the market is that everybody buys for the quick fix, and that's only because there's no long-term solution.
Yeah.
There's no long-term solution. The whole market is basically feeding the dopamine style product fulfillment and consumption. Yeah. There's no option out there. And potentially, like, what we're recognizing here, this is not an every everyday person's product.
No.
We understand that we're kind of in two very tight converging circles of golf enthusiasts plus successful entrepreneurs, business people, or like working professionals. Like we get that, but we also believe that it's a globalized market.
Yeah, but this is just the starting point for us, right?
Yeah.
This could be the niche. And if you look at all the data on golf as a global industry, it's growing rapidly. It's 3.4% CAGR per year.
Oh wow.
Compound annual growth rate. And there's more players coming in, especially since COVID. The dynamics and demographics are changing. The average watcher of the PGA Tour is 60 years old. The average watcher of the YouTube golf influencers that have emerged is 18 to 36. So people are engaging with it, and it's also going through a transformation right now, right? We can talk about that in another episode, but I love live golf. I love watching it. It adds a whole new dynamic. I also love the traditional PGA and obviously the majors and everything else. But I think it is going through a big transformation in itself.
Yeah.
And we're definitely seeing that as an opportunity for us in that wider movement. It's changing. Something's shifting.
Yeah.
And the opportunity is there. But so what my point was, we can go from niche and then there's a lot of different directions we could eventually take it if this program works. Does it just have to be we've kind of defined it loosely at the moment as 15 handicapper and below is probably eligible. Does it have to be that in the future? Like, can we get the program working for someone who's at 20 or 25? I started playing golf again 3 years ago. I was playing off 26, and I spent hours and hours on the driving range trying to figure it out for myself and just couldn't. And I kind of not gave up, but I was like, I just can't figure this out.
I like that idea that I like the idea of very much like at St Andrews, you need to be playing off, I think, less than 25. So you've got to show your handicap card in order to play. And then obviously they only do it for respect. If you're less than 25, then you probably know how to move at a decent rate, right?
Yeah.
But I like that idea of the qualification of it. It's really nice. But you're right. Like we might end up.
I think we've got to have that element too. If we're oversubscribed, then we need to, we need to be seeing swing videos. We need to be choosing the players we think that we can help progress. That's if we're oversubscribed. Ideally, we want to be able to, offer this product to anybody long term. And if there's a big wave of golfers coming in that are a younger demographic, there's maybe they picked up golf in later life, but that 18 to 36 demographic that's consuming golf content is interested in golf influencers, and maybe they decide they want to play. But what are their options? That's like a big question as well. Once we've proven this for our initial niche, I think there's lots of opportunity in that as well.
Awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, that's the 7-day kind of rundown. We're probably going to make a few adjustments to that before we come up to it. We're going to focus probably just on like the business economics and why we see their potential. And we'll probably just map out our bogus kind of where we think it can go and why we're excited by it. In the next episode. And then what did you say we should mention in another episode? It would be good to go through the state of golf.
Yeah.
From a product standpoint.
Market condition was one thing.
Yeah, like how PGA live, and the YouTube, how YouTube has kind of influenced this. Because this kind of ties into what we were talking about from an exit strategy standpoint in future videos. But yeah, we'll go through kind of what we see the business opportunity. We'll go through how we think about target market and how we think about the purchasing power of that target market, I suppose.
Yeah.
And just run people through what we're thinking roughly from a price standpoint, cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
What the costs look like and why we come to conclusions around numbers and all of the constraints would be really interesting to go through. Like, obviously, how many pros per people at this boot camp? And
how does it scale? Started to look at all of that stuff.
Which traditionally, like most people we speak to are kind of, you're not going to be able to spread the amount of attention over that many people. We will find a way.
Yeah, there's a coach to player ratio, and we'll have to figure out what that exact number is. to
Yep.
make sure that everybody's looked after.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, great stuff.
Reconvene in next Monday.
Next Monday.
Next Monday.
Just quickly, we've obviously drunk our own Kool-Aid here, right? But what's the steel man on the other side? Because we did have challenges in this list. What do you think they are?
The challenges.
Yeah, no, like what's the, we believe this is going to work.
Yeah.
But what is the moving against it?
I think I think that the biggest force we have against us is how little or the reality of what it actually takes to get to scratch.
Yeah.
If we get to scratch, I don't think there's a concern.
Yeah. I think it's a really good point.
Because I know what happens firsthand, and you know what happens firsthand when you focus on building a product or service that does exactly as intended, what impact that has on the market, irrespective of how good of you are as an advertiser or a seller. So for me, that's the big thing.
Yeah,
I think
that's
we're
what I had in mind as well. But I mean, I believe we can get there. But it's a good consideration.
Of course, I'm not downplaying, and you're probably not either. I'm not downplaying all of the other problems going to run into, but I just know what people like. Your only job is to sell things people want to buy.
Yeah,
we're building something that we know a lot of people are going to buy. We just have to make sure it works.
Yeah.
And then any other problem, like a problem with, how many pros per person at the workshop, that's an economic rebalancing problem. It's not a binary, you're either going to win or lose.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good way to frame it. I had kind of similar thoughts in mind. And when you look at the statistics to get down to scratch, it can be a bit scary. You're like,
dude.
Okay,
so this is from
that's where we're going. So we better get comfortable with it.
Alex Becker has a chapter in his book, The 10 Pillars of Wealth, which is one of the best books I've ever read. His software company sale fell through,
right?
Apparently.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's still worth like $80-90 million. But he says, statistically, in business, you're not going to make it, right? 1 in 10 businesses, survives 5 years, 1 in 25, whatever it is. So statistically, nobody should succeed unless you decide to be above the statistics and do what it takes.
Yeah.
And that's the attitude to take.
I like that.
It's like, statistically, we shouldn't get there unless we decide that we're going to do what it takes.
Yeah. I like that. And random tangent to kind of benchmark that and random ChatGPT query. But back in the day when golf was like, the handicap system didn't come out until about 100 years after golf became popular and mainstream. So when they used to play golf, there was no handicap system. You just played to the course's par. I was wondering about that. I was like, well, did they have this handicap system back then? And they didn't. You just had to be good enough to get out there and play to par. And that reframes the whole thing, right? Rather than the current framing, misconception, whatever, like, it's tough, only pros get to scratch. You got to put in tens of hours a week to get there of practice. If we can inverse all those things and give people the access, then I think we've got a home run.
Yeah. And it's just we're just applying first principles thinking and trying to rearrange the components. But the other thing that we've got going for us as well is that the handicapping system, a scratch golfer averages 3 over a round. So it's not like we have to average even. We have to average roughly 3
We're
over.
already looking for side doors.
Yeah, but
so guys, it's all right. I'm a scratch player.
But that'll mean that means we'll break even.
What is it?
Right?
You play to your handicap 1 in every 3 rounds or something like
No, I think it's 1 in 6 or something.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. So the way the current way that they've kind of adapted the handicapping system means that it's actually less likely that you hit your handicap.
Yeah.
But so we've got that working for us. So So really, like, we're only five shots away technically. But having said that, when we play off 8, most of the time we end up shooting 11 over.
Okay.
So yeah, in fact, we've still got 8 shots.
Yeah.
But at least it doesn't sound. Yeah.
I mean, it would be great if we came in earlier than. I mean, we kind of loosely set 12 months, right?
Yeah.
What can we achieve in 12 months and just document the whole thing? But it would be great if we could come in earlier. If we do the dry run in 5 weeks, get our development plan in place, continue to work on it with Jake post the event, and then the V1 is going to run in February, March next year. So we'll be revisiting the whole thing again. So yeah, 6 months. Be interesting to see where we're at in 6 months.
Yeah.
After that.
Well, that's 6 months of applied training in the right direction based on guidance. So yeah, we should.
It's actually a bit like work smarter, not harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Harder is go to the range, do the drills, it's that. And actually we're saying, okay, can we work smarter and ingrain all the things we need to turn up and deliver a performance when we go and play on the course or in a tournament or with friends.
There's a guy called Slow Motion Swing, and he's got an Instagram, and his paid content, because he's like a +2 golfer, and 90% of his practice is literally just looking in the mirror and just looking at his setup at the top of the swing.
That's it. Yeah.
And he's got a picture of Tiger.
Yeah.
And all he's trying to do is compare what he sees in the mirror to Tiger. And he said that's 90% of it.
That's what Jake said.
Crazy.
Said, when you play a tournament, do you warm up at the range? And he said no.
Yeah.
I use my mat and my weighted club, and I'll do that for 20 minutes, half an hour, get everything in order, know what I'm trying to do, know my feels, and then I'll go and play.
Bang.
Pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting fitted for this mat.
Oh, dude, totally. I'll have to roll.
Awesome.
But yeah, let's reconvene next Monday.
Look forward to it.
Economics, business model. Let's do it.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
Hey.